Hello and welcome to another video from Fantasy Football Scout. Roles have reversed a little bit today. I'm going to do the hosting and Joe is going to give you all the info for his team draft and how he kind of puts that together. How you doing, Joe?
Hi Andy, yeah, doing well, doing well. Obviously, still very excited with the launch of FPL. I've said before on social media, I really like this time. I like all the planning, even we don't know the fixtures at the moment. I quite like, looking at team structure and the player prices and how can we move around. I kind of like this bit just before all my dreams get shattered, obviously.
Exactly. That's why I like it as well because there's hope. There's hope that I'll get that top 100, top one finish. It usually comes crashing down after game week one, but yeah, right now there's a lot of hope, lots of players to choose from. I think they have really priced quite well this year, where there is a lot of choice as well. So this is going to be a draft video, but with a slight twist because we've probably, if you've watched the Scoutcast and stuff before, you'll have heard Joe talk about price points, and that's how build squads, build wildcards, builds the game week one squad, and all that kind of stuff. So you're going to talk us through it and we're going to start off with the tweet that you put out yesterday, I think it was. So just want to explain that to everyone.
Okay, so basically, what I like to do is play price points. So I'll briefly explain what that is. So some people would look at that and think it's really exact. So it's like, oh, I must have a 7.5 midfielder, and that's it. But it's not. It's just looking vaguely at it, looking at the flexibility you can have. So it's looking at one of the golden rules about it is any player in two moves. Can you get any player in two moves? So that's going to keep hits low across the 38 game weeks in theory. Also, it's about something that a lot of us don't like to admit, but it's true, that everything we do is wrong. Every player we get in is wrong. We'll probably want to move them around and we'll want to get another player in. So I start with that. I don't start with the theory that I'm right. I think that I'm wrong, and how quickly can I run away from that decision? So that's all about that flexibility. And that's what the tweet I put up about. It's about spreading the budget around. So as many of your 11 that you're starting with can return. So you're not piling everything into like two or three players and then the rest of it is just dross. You're trying to spread it around across defense, midfield, forward line, and obviously the goalkeeper places as well. But you're spreading that budget around and looking where the points could be. And so one of the aspirations that I have is that every player I get in, can their points match their price? And so what do I mean by that? So for example, okay, so say last season, say you've got someone like Chris Wood who's 6.5. He's 6.5 this season. You've got one of those 6.5 strikers. Can they average me 6.5 points a match, a game week? So, for example, can they basically score? So, if they're scoring every week, so is Chris Wood going to score every week, or is he going to get a brace every other week? The answer to that probably, possibly not. So, I'm thinking maybe he can't match his price. So, maybe that budget, that 100 million, can be spent elsewhere with a player that could. So, for example, I look at someone like Alexander Arnold with 7.5, and I think, can he get me that? Can he get me a clean sheet most weeks? Can he get me a goal and assist every now and again? Yeah, he probably could. So, could he get near enough that average? I think he possibly could. So, he might be better value. And so, that's what I was looking at really. So, the spread that I've got. So, what I did is I worked out how much I've got because we'll come to my sort of first pre-fixtures draft. This is just on a price point draft so far. And I looked at each position and how much each one it cost me on average, and can they match that in points? So, for example, my average defender costs 5.5 million. So, can my defenders on the whole get me around that? Can they get me a clean sheet? That's the aspiration. Forwards, 7.5 I've spent on each of my forwards. So can they get me at least a goal? If I was captaining them, would I be happy with that? Would I be happy with 14, 15 points? Possibly. But you can see in midfield, I've spent 8.5 per player. So I've spent a bit more. So I've got a bit more, I've piled more money into there because their captaincy potential. So there's 5 positions there. 8.5 is the average. So across my midfield, I spent 41.5 million. Forward line, 22.5 million. Across from all my defense, 27.5. And then my goalkeepers, just 9.5. Because goalkeepers, you can get a lot of value for the budget there. So that's the way I look at it, really. I want all of my players to get me points, and obviously, 83. So we've got it's 83 million of your budget out of the 100 million is in your starting 11. So add the captaincy into that. You're looking at whatever, like 90, 100 points a week. Am I going to get that? Of course I'm not. But it's the aspiration to do it. Why aim to get 50 points a week, and then when you might get less, but instead aim to get 100 points a week, and then obviously you're not going to get that. But if I can get anywhere near, I can get like 65 points a week, 70 points a week on average over 38 weeks. You're looking at a really, really high finish at the end of it, and that's what it's about really. It's 38. It's planning over 38 weeks, and obviously you can move players around it. But if you've got a structure in place, it's really easy to move the players. You like the look of a new emerging midfielder who's 8 million. We'll say you've got a 7.5 or an 8.5 midfielder. Easy move. You can easily find 0.5 somewhere. And it's looking at it like that, really. All about flexibility and admitting we're wrong.
Yeah, I think it's something I've bought into for sure, because I think being able to move in 2 moves, or even one, of course, is hugely important, because if you've got to start taking, it's why I said this to Az on the video yesterday, I think it was. It's why I don't like 5 at the back formations where you've got like 5 to 6 million in each spot. Because when you want to change that, it takes a lot of moves. But is there ever a time when you would go against this? Because there'll be some people out there that do want to pile in with like Aubameyang, Salah, De Bruyne, and they want to go like super cheap at the back. I've seen a lot of teams, even my first draft, I think, was Trent plus 4.5 million defenders. Do you think that's too inflexible, or do you think there is a place for that sometimes?
There is. It's great if. So, for example, say you've got 3 really big heavy hitter midfielders. You've got Aubameyang, Salah, and KDB, for example. Or you've even got even more, and you're piling everything into those positions. Now, what happens if those 3 players blank in a week? Now, what I'm haunted by various times in my FPL career, when I have piled money into in an imbalanced squad. I'm not saying it's like 4 at the back or 5 at the back or something like that, the structure, but I've just piled a lot of that week into 3 or 4 players. And if they all blank, so I've done that before, Hazard, Sanchez, and Kane, I think, but they were hugely expensive at the time, piled everything into them. For about 2 weeks, they all blanked. And I was getting sub 30 scores. And the rank went, piling out of your overall rank will plummet if the rest of your squad is full of 4.5 million players. So I'm restricting the 4.5, the 4 million players to those that I'm going to bench, hopefully. And I don't really want to be playing more than 1 or 2 a week. And if anything, I want them in defense. And if I look at a team, hey, what do you think of his first draft kind of thing? And it's got, I'm playing a 4.5 midfielder every week. And I think, no, is that you can do better than that, because that 4.5 million midfielder, occasionally you're going to get someone like a Sterling, who, when he first started in the game in FPL, was priced at that, but it's really rare. The chances are you're looking at 1-2 points, definitely. So you're saying at the start of your FPL season, I'm only getting 2 points from this player. That's it. That position out of 11, and so you're already, the aspiration to get that 100 points is gone down already. So that's why I'm not keen on playing a 4.5 attacker if I can help it, and unless they're amazing. And but there's value in defense at 4.5, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's been rumours, and obviously you shouldn't take all the rumours into account at the moment because there's loads of transfer rumours at this time of the year. But Ryan Brewster potentially is 4.5 million forward, who looks like he might get a move in the Premier League, so that could happen. But for me, I'd want to see how he played in that team first before I started relying on him week in, week out. Because like you say, sometimes we've had Harry Kane at like 4.5 million, and he was great, but most of the time it is a complete flop, and they just don't do as well.
Mason Greenwood, another example. It's a great example. I didn't get a lot of things right towards the end of last season, but one thing I did get right was getting Mason Greenwood in, because he's really cheap striker who was starting and is really good. And what is he now? 7.5, which is realistically what he should be starting at and that's the bare minimum for someone like Greenwood. But 4.5, yeah, I mean that's you. The game is thrown you an opportunity. Take it. So that's what I mean about structure. It's not so rigid. So whatever structure I've got now, or when fixtures are released, it's not going to be the same. It just got to be moving with the players. You might get emerging players. Some of the heavy hitters just might get injured. They might lose form. So is there any need for that? There may be. All of them could be just completely consistent 250 points a season players, in which case maybe you can pile money into those because they are a bit more reliable. But yeah, you just got to move around, be flexible.
Yeah, be flexible is key. Let's take a look at the team that you've put together. Obviously, usual caveats. We don't have fixtures at the time of recording this, so this could be all changed. Especially, I think one thing where I think it's going to change a lot is the big hitters, because there's a lot of players at the same price or similar price points, kind of 11.5 to 12 million in midfield. And I think whichever one of those gets the great fixtures will probably be where most people start. But talk us through this team, because you've kind of gone, like you said, you mentioned price points, but you have got two very cheap midfielders. So let's just say one of them doesn't perform. Like, given the price points thing, what would your kind of plan be to maybe upgrade? Because I don't think there's too many other options around the 5.5 million pound mark, apart from maybe Armstrong at Southampton, for example.
Well, I think there could be, yeah, as you said, you've got some. I mean, this is all dependent on fixtures. So the actual structure is dependent on fixtures. If Newcastle have a terrible run, there's no way I'm looking at St Maximum there. Southampton have a terrible run. There's no way I'd look at Armstrong there. But if one of them does, I would definitely consider them as a viable fourth midfielder. Suchek and St Maximum, I'm basically looking at that as in, it's Suchek who would possibly go, even though he's amazing value. But if West Ham's fixtures aren't good early on, I'm not so interested. But yeah, there's a lot I like about this structure, but the bit I don't like is the bit you've highlighted there. It's having Suchek and St Maximum in there. The reason I've done that is because I do think there's more value in midfield at around that price, and also in defence around that price, than there is in attack. I think in attack, it's not much go big or go home. It's a case of, because they priced forwards really kindly this season. It's sort of go middle or go home, because I've got Jimenez in there 8.5. Why is Jimenez 8.5? Thank you, FPL. He's an amazingly consistent player who really should be more than that, but nevertheless, he's 8.5. Werner at 9.5, I think could be good value. Let's see. But then you've got Aguero and Kane at 10.5 as well. I want to better get to them, so it's more about flexibility. So I like the 9.5 thing, because it's sort of like, well, I can go with Werner, and if he's doing really well, great. I've got a 9.5 forward who's scoring loads and getting assists and helping and getting bonus. But if he's not, I've got to find a million somewhere else in order to get up to, say, Aguero and Kane, or perhaps down to Danny Ings. So I've got that sort of flexibility there. As I said about the price points, it's vague. Don't think of price points really linear. You've got to have exactly the price. It's just, can you get to that one in two moves? And if I've got, say, hardly much, I've got hardly any of my budget in forward. So I've got Chris Woods and a couple of 4.5s, or Chris Woods, Bamford, and a 4.5. How can I get up to Aguero if he starts scoring hat-tricks every week, which he can? It's really difficult. But from Werner to Aguero, you're talking a million and a half if there's some price changes. That's easily done. It's more flexibility there. But yeah, the one thing I'm looking at really is that Suchek, some maximum. So the structure I've got at the moment, I actually think that 4-4-2 might be quite a nice way of starting, given the prices. And so your 4.5s are essentially an attacker and a midfielder, but you're never going to play them. And then looking at 4-4-2, because I do think defence, whilst I'm not a fan of big at the back, so to speak, I do think there's a lot of value in there. So I mean, I'll run through for the benefit of those. Perhaps I'm not sure if there's going to be a podcast
Yeah,
version
there will be. Yeah.
of this, but for the benefit of those, I've got Ryan at the back with Button, and then I've got in a 3-5-2 currently, which could be a 4-4-2. I've got Robertson, Alexander-Arnold, and Vinegra. I've also got on my bench there Charlie Taylor 4.5, and Ferguson at Crystal Palace. Now, pre-season is going to tell me a lot about the 4.0 ones. They don't have to start every week. I just want them to start a bit and not lose me value. So I'm okay with that. And then across midfield, I've got, as you pointed out, Souček at St. Maximin. I've got Greenwood at 7.5. I want a Manchester United coverage there somewhere, but that terrible word coverage. But I do think with Greenwood, Martial, Rashford, take your pick. I mean, they're all going to do well if Manchester United do well. I've also got De Bruyne and Salah. And as you said about the fixtures, I want one of these premium picks. I want at least 2 of them, because these are going to be my captains. These are going to be the players that you look to when a team has got, like Man City has got great fixtures. So that could easily be De Bruyne and Sterling. That could easily be Salah and Mane. That could easily be De Bruyne and Aubameyang, for example. So we've got De Bruyne, Salah, Mane, Aubameyang, and Sterling, all in that mega premium bracket of 11.5 to 12 million. But then you've got this other group here. You've got this Rashford, Mahrez. Rashford's 9.5, Mahrez 8.5, Son 9, and so on. And then Greenwood. So Greenwood's at the lower end of what I would like. I'd kind of like Rashford at 9.5 there. And then there's the issue of Martial. Sounds a bit rambly at the moment because we haven't had the fixtures out. But Martial at 9 could be good. He's not going to get as many points as he would have done as a midfielder, obviously, because there's less points as a forward. But that's not to say he's a bad pick, and it's not to say he's not going to get lots of points. So at 9 million, I think if I didn't have Werner, I would have Martial. And if I didn't have Greenwood, I'll have Ziyech. And I think that's a good combo. And if, as I start, it looks like I've done it the wrong way round, whichever one, I can move quickly to the other one. That flexibility again. I remember in previous seasons, I had Chelsea were when they had teeming with great assets. Malouda, remember him?
Yeah, he was great.
Frank Lampard, Drogba. But I mean, that's just touching the sides of that Chelsea team. But for example, Lampard and Drogba were mega expensive, and Malouda a little less expensive, but still good. So I think I might have started with, say, Drogba and another midfielder, and it wasn't working out. But Frank Lampard and Frank Lampard or Malouda were looking better. So it's a case of moving those positions around, perhaps within the own team, perhaps within 2 teams as well. So I pulled out Manchester United and Chelsea here because I think that's quite a nice. I want a really good Chelsea attacker. I want a really good Manchester United attacker, because even in poor fixtures, they're handy to have around, and in good fixtures, they're captainable. So I want one of those. So yeah, Greenwood or Werner, Ziyech or Martial. Not sure yet. I want to say about the defense though.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. Like, let's say that fixtures are relatively kind for everyone. Let's just say they are.
Yeah.
Like double Liverpool defense. You think it's just too hard to ignore?
Well, I started off not with Alexander-Arnold, boom, and then saw his ownership. How are you going to get? So his ownership's what, 60% or something ridiculous?
He's getting close to that, yeah.
People are going to captain him as well. So you could be looking at 100% effective ownership. So every point he gets is essentially a rank drop if you haven't captained him, or if you're not doubling up on a Liverpool defence. So I started thinking about that. And then I started to think of my team structure and pricing. And I thought, okay, do I essentially want a 6.5 or a 7 million forward, or do I want someone like Robertson or Van Dijk? Now, Robertson got 181 points last season, and Van Dijk was just behind that. And then the next best 6.5 forwards last year, obviously this is not including those like Ings who've had a price hike, but is Chris Wood is in that price bracket this season, and he's got 136. So then you've got the likes of, say, Maupay at Brighton. So in order to maximise the points from that 6.5 forward, I think it's largely based around fixtures and form, but mainly fixtures with those. If Burnley have a great run, Chris Wood's great. If Burnley have tough games, Chris Wood's not so great. Same with Mbappe. So you can move them around. So feasibly, you can get quite a good points haul if you stick to that price point of 6.5 or so, and you can switch between the likes of Burnley, Brighton, even Che Adams at 6 million at Southampton. Or you can save all of those transfers, use them to switch around your captains, because if you've got the price points in midfield, you can do that and just get the guy who's definitely going to get 180 points a season, and that's Robertson. In fact, he's probably going to get more.
Yeah, I really think like it's hard to say for sure, of course, but I think the clean sheets were way down last year on the year before, and I don't really see any reason why that would continue to drop. So I feel like they're gonna get at least those clean sheets, but in my eyes, they're probably gonna get even more this season than they did last year.
Yeah.
So I agree. I think it's the same points, if not more. They're only, obviously just a slight. They have signed a new left back. But I can't imagine that Trent and Robertson get rotated that often. It will happen, of course, because there's going to be a lot of games, but I can't imagine it'll be that much.
No. Also, having those two in, and then having either a Salah or Mane. So say Liverpool. So Salah is great at home, and he's great against really bad sides, bad defenses like say Bournemouth. I think West Ham. He's got a few away hauls against. But if I look at the fixtures, and Liverpool have got quite tough games, not so good home games, but also, but more particularly, they're away games. They've got more away games, and they're quite tough ones. Then Salah's less of an appeal. I'd be less keen to captain him, and I would hope De Bruyne would be a good captain then. But then I might think, say for example, Aubameyang. Last season, I had Aubameyang for his haul against Norwich and captained him. He wasn't a popular captain. I don't think he's going to be a popular captain this time around either because of his price hike, people will see. But I think he would be an amazing captain for that type of fixture. So if you've got a fixture where Salah have got away to Man City or something like that, meanwhile Aubameyang is home to Fulham, then that switch would make sense. And if you've got that price point there, plus that fear of missing out, like, oh my God, Liverpool amazing, even though they're playing away to City. So I've definitely got to have them. Well, I've got their two like most creative players, arguably, Robertson and Alexander-Arnold. So I'm sort of covered there. And I may even have the best two. So once again, it's flexibility. I would possibly like more Man City. If the fixtures come out and Man City have got great fixtures, De Bruyne and Sterling, I don't think is too mad. If Aguero's back and is looking like he's definitely the first choice, as he was for a lot of last season, then that seems weird to be without a 10.5 Aguero.
Yeah, it's mad. I can't remember the last time he was that cheap.
But my Werner there, 9.5 again. That I can make that move. If Chris Wood's my top price forwards, I've got to find 4 million somewhere to get to Aguero.
I've definitely got my eye on that too because I don't necessarily, again, all fixtures dependent, of course, but I don't necessarily want to start with Aguero or Kane. And let's not forget that Kane also had a very good post-lockdown, given that he was so relatively poor, especially from an FPL point of view for the rest of the season. He was quite good. I think it was like 6 goals in 8 games or something after lockdown, and not necessarily back to his best, but he started looking better. Their price points, 10.5 million for Aguero and Kane, the highest for four. We haven't seen that for a while, and I think it was needed because they kept their prices up, but had Salah and Mane who were also around the same price. It was just impossible not to go for them. But I really think this year they've priced really well. Where I think there's quite a few under or potentially underpriced players, but I also think there's a lot of choice this year, and I think it's going to make things much more interesting.
It will do, definitely. I just think, as we've been talking about the structure and about pricing as well, if you're looking at your team and you haven't got two premium midfielders in it, have a think again, because, I mean, De Bruyne, Salah, Mane, Aubameyang, Sterling, you might get a week where they don't do well, but by coincidence, but odds on, these are the guys who are going to get more than 200 points in the season, and you're going to want 2 of them, and you're going to want to captain one. I'm not saying which one. I'm just saying just give yourself that flexibility to go for that.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree, and I think like you said, this isn't necessarily stuck in place. You're not going to have this team, but you can easily, like you
No.
said, go to a 4 at the back. You could even drop set maximum maybe and go down to a 5, and then you've got another 0.5 million. So that could be Jimenez to Martial if Man United's fixtures are really good. So I do think even though the fixtures are out, people can still start putting together different kind of strategies and price points. Really.
I just wanted to add something else in. As I said, this is all theory, and hopefully this will do well. But I think usually I would play my wild card around sort of game week 4 or 5. The first international break. That's when I realise I've done everything wrong, and I really need to run away from it. Um, but I think this season I want to keep my wild card until game week 16, which is the deadline. If I can, the first wild card has to be used by the end of game week 16, because game week 18 is definitely a blank game week, because that's when this sort of crazy winter break has been scheduled. Game week 19 as well is looking like it is the best place for a double game week. This may not happen, but it looks like that period of game weeks 18 to 19 will be really good to use a wildcard for and prepare. And then meanwhile, you can keep that second wildcard for the next set of double game weeks, which is probably around 26, 29. Um, and I think you can get an advantage there because you can use your free hit as well, perhaps, and you can use a bench boost or other chips in combination with a wild card. And I found this out last season, very much so. It use chips around double game weeks definitely, and use a wild card in combination with another chip if you can, so you're setting yourself up. If I've used my wild card to clear out the mess after 2 or 3 weeks, then I won't have that flexibility. I'm going to have to spend that busy Christmas period making sure that I've got a really good team for likely double game weeks and free and blank game weeks that are coming up. Of course, you can use your free hit around that, but I think you can maximize more points that way. So it's just something to bear in mind. Which is why keeping hits low and avoiding the need for wildcard earlier is a bit easier if you've got this sort of balanced price point structure. But anyway, that's the theory.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think there's. I personally don't like booking in a wild card. I will use it early if I need to, but I don't ever want to plan my team where I'm going to need a wild card. I don't think many people do. So yeah. Anything else you want to add?
No, I don't. I mean, usual caveats, waiting for fixtures to come out. But also, it's important to look at pre-season as well. I mentioned about the 4.0. This is where the likes of John Lundstrom we can discover, and those sort of gems can come out there. Also, I want to get an idea about Chelsea as well, because we're talking a lot of new players there, a lot of new structure, new important players rather. I want to see how that's going to pan itself out. I think with teams like, say, Manchester United, I think we've got a handle on them. We know
Yeah,
their
yeah.
their main four, and if they get Sancho in, there's going to be rotation amongst the front three somewhere. So Fernandez would possibly become a better option then. So that's something to look out for, as in more reliability of starts and minutes as well. You could see Greenwood maybe not starting, Greenwood maybe getting 60 minutes, and then hey presto, you bring Sancho on, or Sancho starts, that kind of thing. So that's something to keep an eye on. So yeah, usual things. Look at the news and keep an eye on pre-season. But there's lots of stuff on Fantasy Football Scout about that. I know Neil and David, they keep that busy, that section, the pre-season
Yeah, it's
friendly.
crazy the
So
amount of stuff already
yeah,
in there.
that's like a bible for me, pre-season.
Yeah, definitely check that out. And also, one other thing, obviously, we'll have the Community Shield before Game Week 1 as well. So I don't think necessarily people massively looking at Arsenal players, but I think their lineup, especially in defence and goalkeeper, could potentially provide some value players. We'll have to see who starts there. But yeah, of course, as well as the Bible, like you said, the pre-season page, which is completely free. There is a pre-season offer right now for the members area, so you can see on screen everything you get there. Loads of articles every season ticker, rate my team tool, and lots more. I think it's gone up to £20, but before August 31st, it's £17.50. So that deal will run out on the 31st of August. So if it is something you're interested in, make sure you sign up. Loads of public tables, as well as being able to create your own stats tables. So you'll be able to see Joe's famous goals imminent table. I almost forgot what it was called there. How could I forget that? So yeah, if you want to check that out, make sure you do. Otherwise, there's a link in the description below. I'll say thanks very much for joining me, Joe.
Yeah, no, thanks so much for having me on the show. It's been really good, and if anyone has got any questions, do throw them my way on social media, on Twitter. I'm on ffscout_Joe, and just help me, because I know it can be it, quite a bit to get your head around these old price points, but it's quite easy. Just admit you're wrong and be flexible.
There you go. And like you said, run away from players and just, yeah, you got it wrong, you haven't got it right. Like the video if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new around here, and we will catch you again tomorrow for another video. Cheers all.